The first dawnlight crept over the charcoal mound, casting a warm glow on the quiet landscape. Bryn Embergrove stirred, emerging from the small hut at the mound's base. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of pine and the distant call of a bird. As Bryn began the day's work, a sense of routine settled in, the only sound the soft crunch of footsteps on the gravel path. The charcoal mound, a constant presence, stood waiting, its darkness a familiar comfort. Bryn's hands moved with practiced ease, the rhythm of the work a soothing melody. The sun's rays danced across the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the sound of a nearby stream provided a constant, calming background hum. The trees swayed softly, their branches creaking in the morning breeze. A rabbit darted across the path, its little heart beating rapidly as it vanished into the underbrush. But amidst the tranquility, a sense of unease lurked, a feeling that something was watching from just beyond the tree line. The silence was almost palpable, and Bryn's skin prickled with a shiver, despite the warmth of the rising sun. The morning light cast long shadows, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers. As the sun rose higher, the shadows retreated, and the mound was bathed in a warm golden light. As the day wore on, Bryn's thoughts turned to the odd occurrence of the previous night. A book, its cover bearing only Bryn's name in fresh ink, had been found waiting in the charcoal mound. The discovery had been unsettling, but also intriguing. Bryn's curiosity got the better of them, and they opened the book on the workbench, the words within following the rhythm of their own work. The cadence was almost soothing, but the content was cryptic, speaking of things that made little sense. Yet, Bryn felt drawn to the book, as if it held secrets meant only for them. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the mound, Bryn couldn't shake the feeling that the book was more than just a simple tome. The air grew cooler, and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, like diamonds scattered across the velvet expanse. The sound of crickets provided a soothing background noise, but Bryn's mind was elsewhere, lost in the mystery of the book. The darkness seemed to press in around them, making the book's words feel like a whispered secret, shared only between Bryn and the charcoal mound. The trees creaked and groaned, their branches swaying in the evening breeze. The wind carried the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and the mound seemed to loom larger, its presence more oppressive. Bryn's fingers trembled as they turned the pages, the words blurring together in a maddening dance. The night air was filled with the sound of distant howling, and the stars seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. As the nights passed, Bryn found themselves returning to the book again and again, each reading revealing new, disturbing truths. The words rearranged themselves on the page when Bryn blinked, and the air grew cold around them. Tools moved on their own, and doors creaked shut in the stillness. The charcoal mound, once a place of comfort, now seemed to loom over Bryn, its darkness oppressive. The rhythm of the work and the rhythm of the book blended together, creating a sense of inevitability. Bryn's sense of self began to unravel, threads of reality snapping like twine pulled too tight. The presence in the mound grew stronger, its nearness making Bryn's skin crawl. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves and sending shivers down Bryn's spine. The stars seemed to twist and writhe in the sky, like living things. And then, the unthinkable happened. The charcoal mound began to perform its own work, the rhythm matching the rhythm of the book. The sound was like a heartbeat, pulsing through the night air, and Bryn felt themselves being drawn into its rhythm, unable to escape. The darkness closed in, a suffocating shroud that threatened to consume them whole. The trees seemed to lean in, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out to snare Bryn. The air was heavy with the scent of smoke and ash, and the sound of the mountain's work was like a dirge, a funeral march for all that was lost. The stars pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and the wind howled like a chorus of the damned. Bryn's mind reeled, trying to comprehend the horror that had unfolded. The charcoal mound seemed to be alive, its darkness seething with a malevolent presence. The night air was filled with the sound of scuttling, scratching noises, and the trees seemed to loom larger, their branches like grasping fingers. The world seemed to be shrinking, the charcoal mound the only reality that mattered. Bryn's sense of self was fragmenting, their identity dispersing like leaves on the wind. The last page of the book was blank but warm to the touch. Bryn's name, once proudly emblazoned on the cover, was fading, disappearing into the darkness. The charcoal mound, now a living, breathing presence, continued its work, the sound of its labor echoing through the stillness. Bryn's mind reeled, trying to comprehend the horror that had unfolded. The air was heavy with the scent of smoke and ash, and the sound of the mound's work was like a dirge, a funeral march for all that was lost. The darkness seemed to press in around Bryn, a crushing weight that threatened to consume them whole. And then the mound was silent, its work complete. The smoke that rose from it smelled not of pine, but of something else, a morbid reminder of the book's dark power. Bryn's body was found, cold and still, amidst the ashes of the mound. The silence was oppressive, a heavy shroud that hung over the landscape like a pall. Bryn Embergrove stood at the edge of the charcoal mound, the silence a heavy shroud around them. A book, its cover blank, but for a single freshly inked name, their own, lay waiting. Tova's fingers reached out, hesitant to touch the book's cover. The charcoal mound loomed, its presence a looming specter. The air was cool and damp, filled with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Tova's heart beat slowly, as if waiting for something to happen. The trees seemed to lean in, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out. The darkness seemed to press in, a suffocating shroud.